All right, so let me help you out with this one, okay? Since you don't get it. I literally live around the corner from where that happened at, okay? And not all black people were detained. It was just a couple of black folks in a building that nobody was supposed to be in. Yeah, they didn't tell you that narrative, that nobody was supposed to be in that building. Nobody. Also, that's a building full of clucks. You do know what clucks is, right? Also, the Venezuelans went through that building and took over the whole building. Not forcefully, but they just started moving in apartments they ain't had no business moving into. Also, it's a lot of Venezuelans that look black. You know, like Cubans and Dominicans.
All right, y'all. At this point, y'all have really pissed me off, especially you so-called influencers who are taking parts of stories coming out of Chicago and using it for fucking clickbait and engagement. Now, I have been urging my people here to pause so that they can process things. Y'all talking about them coming down on that building out south. Whole time, that building used to be predominantly black. That building was predominantly Venezuelans, okay? There are people from that neighborhood that have been complaining about that building for a year, okay? They showed y'all broken windows and shit that were already there. These are the things that y'all have to stop doing. And this is why I keep telling people here in the city, particularly black people, pause so you can process. If y'all start responding to shit out of emotion, then you don't know what the fucking play is, because you haven't had time to actually think. What people are doing are trying to get a rise out of black Chicagoans, okay?
Boy. So we got to continue our coverage of the fallout from what I would describe as a pretty epic ICE raid that happened at an apartment complex in Chicago. Okay, in a black neighborhood, you had ICE pull up in Black Hawk helicopters to round up some illegal immigrant gang members. And the video footage seems to show and support this idea that ICE, the Trump administration, knew exactly what they were doing and who they were targeting. But the left is crying foul, right? And crying foul, claiming that ICE was going after black people, right? There's all types of wild allegations, including this idea that kids were zip tied, right? You had naked children running around in the street, zip tied, and ICE said, F them kids. Okay, there's no evidence whatsoever to back that up. There's also stories about segregated vans, right? They had the black people in one van and the illegals or the people that appear to be illegal, aka they look Mexican, in another van, like the Latinos. Yeah, I mean, again, all types of wild stories that are not backed up by any facts or evidence. Okay, this is the wildest ICE raid I've ever heard about that has no video evidence to back up all of these wild claims. Okay, but Chicago, the Democrats are responding in the way that you would think they respond to lies, which is to make panic moves, right? To virtue signal their wokeness and how they're going to stand up for the illegal immigrants. And that is exactly what woke mayor of Chicago, Brandon Johnson, is doing, because he's now claiming that the right is trying to start a civil war, right? He's claiming that the right wants a civil war rematch. And that's why we're saying what we're saying, as he signs an executive order meant to make parts of Chicago, quote unquote, ICE free zones.
I said very candidly that the right wing in this country wants a rematch of the Civil War. I want that to sit in right now, because the President of the United States of America has declared war on the people of Chicago and people across America. That's right. He's more interested in giving billions of dollars to other nations, while farmers in urban cities around this country are literally being destabilized. And so whether it's the legal system, whether it's through executive order, or whether it's through the brave women and men who are serving as rapid responders. We literally have people who are volunteering in this city, on the southwest side, the northwest side, all over this city, to make sure that we're protecting children from being separated from their families. And we're talking about volunteers who are literally putting themselves at risk of being shot and killed by the federal government. And so whether it's the legal system, whether it's our continuous struggle for liberation through organizing, and whether it's through executive action or whether it's through law, it would be nice if we actually had lawmakers in Washington that would actually hold this president accountable. And if they won't do it, then the city of Chicago will, using every single tool that's available to.
Yeah. So the woke mayor is boohooing and crying Civil War rematch. Now, I actually think that the leftists are the ones who want the Civil War rematch, again, considering how Democrats lost the Civil War, right? They're the ones that want the rematch. And I don't think that it's going to work out the way that the leftists think that it's going to work out, right? And, one of the reasons why I say this is because it seems as if they're trying to provoke individuals in this country, right? They're the ones that are assassinating conservative activists, okay, like Charlie Kirk, and then celebrating it, right? They're the ones who are trying to assassinate and to kill ICE agents, run over ICE agents. You got lunatics in Chicago trying to do that. I think the leftists are the ones that are trying to provoke a Civil War rematch, right? The Democrats, okay, who again they want to get their lick back, okay, so to speak. So I don't know what the woke mayor is talking about here, but what I do know, again, is that he's pulling a desperate move. They're trying to stop President Trump from bringing in the National Guard. We're going to talk about that. But again, he's creating these quote unquote ICE-free zones in order to keep ICE from doing their job, aka he's obstructing. Again, we're getting into the territory of treason here.
This is Chicago's very own WGN Midday News.
A new executive order by Mayor Brandon Johnson is targeting ICE agents in Chicago. The order prohibits ICE from operating on city-owned property. We begin there this morning. I'm Lourdes Duarte in for Patrick Elwood.
And I'm Dina Baer. Thank you for joining us. Judy Wang is live at the Westside Justice Center with more on our top story. Judy?
Mayor Brandon Johnson says he considers this another step toward accountability, that more drastic action is needed to rein in what he called a rogue administration. This morning here at the Westside Justice Center, the mayor signed the ICE-free zone executive order. The order makes it illegal for federal immigration agents to use city-owned property for their operations. On display, a sign that will be posted at places that include CPS and Park District parking lots. The order does not direct Chicago police to get involved if agents violate the order. The mayor says it lays the groundwork for the city law department to take those agents to court. As justification, the mayor pointed to last week's raid of a South Shore apartment building. Agents arrested 37 people. Children were present. Some residents were held for hours. The Department of Homeland Security says some of those people had criminal records. Also, Saturday's shooting of a woman by agents at 39th and Kedzie in Brighton Park. Homeland Security says...
Hold on, let's pause. Let's pause here, right? Because, again, I was told that they was rounding up blacks, right? Blacks, he had little kids running around in zip ties. Now, all of the footage that I have seen of this raid, to me, matches the story from DHS. Okay? Again, I've not seen any footage of too many black people. I haven't seen any little black kids running around with zip tied. I haven't seen that. But I have seen what appears to be gang members, right? What appears to be people who may or may not be in this country illegally. And I'm not just saying that because of their skin color, right? I'm just saying that. I'm saying it based off the totality of the circumstances of the situation. Okay? That's why I'm saying it. Because, again, there can be black illegals, okay? If it was a black person or, a very white person, I'd say the same thing. They just don't look like the type of people that, are in this country legally. I'm just saying, okay? So, with that being said, if you are black, right? If you are black and you are against this, right? If you're pushing back against this, like the Brandon Johnson administration, right? Like all those clowns, again, who happen to be black, standing behind him, okay, co-signing his obstruction. I'm not the type of individual to call another black person a sellout or to strip them of their racial identity just because I don't agree with them politically. But if I was the type of person to do something like that, like a black leftist or a black liberal, this would be an appropriate situation to do it, right? A black person who is against getting rid of gang members, taking gang members out of the black neighborhood, like I'm trying to figure out why those people, why those black people, again, who told the Democrat Party line, why aren't they called racial slurs and sellouts and all of the things that they call black conservatives? Now, black conservatives support getting rid of these people, getting these people out of black neighborhoods, right? We support saving black lives, right? Being against abortion. We promote good behavior. We're tough on crime, right? I think all of the policies that black conservatives are for, I think are actually beneficial to the black community. But again, we get so much smoke. We get so much hate, right? Because these black liberals perceive our beliefs to come from a place of wanting to please or appeal to white people. But what they don't understand is that all of these beliefs that they believe that white people have, it just so happens that those beliefs, like, for example, being tough on crime, being against abortion, right? Being against illegal immigration, all these things actually happen to be good for black people too, right? You know what I'm saying? So maybe, just maybe, I'm coming from a perspective of, hey, I think that conservative values, conservative policies are just better for black people. And I think in a situation like this, this is exactly what I'm talking about. I don't understand what is anti-black about not wanting these people to be in a black neighborhood, right? Not wanting these people to take over, not wanting black children to be influenced by foreign gang members, right? I'm just saying, it's fascinating. It's just fascinating how there's never any smoke for the black people that support this, right? That support this being in black neighborhoods and around black children. But, somebody like myself, who I believe, my actual policies are, pretty beneficial for black folks. Again, called all types of names, stripped of my racial identity. You ain't really black. You can't come to the cookout. Again, it's just fascinating. That's all I'm saying.
Homeland Security says agents were forced to defend themselves because she was carrying a semi-automatic weapon. She is one of 2 people facing federal charges. Today's order was the mayor's 3rd in connection with Operation Midway Blitz.
We have a rogue, reckless group of heavily armed mass individuals roaming throughout our city that are not accountable to the people of Chicago.
The illegals, right? The illegals are the people that you're talking about here. Not ICE agents, but the illegals.
Actions put all Chicagoans at risk. When protesters confronted federal immigration agents in Brighton Park on Saturday, they were met with pepper balls and more repression. The fact is, we cannot allow them to rampage throughout our city with no checks or balances. Nobody is above the law. If we break the law, you should be held accountable. If Congress will not check this administration, then Chicago will.
Wow.
We have reached out to the Department of Homeland Security for a response to the mayor's executive order. Also, regarding the National Guard deployment, a Defense Department memo says 300 Illinois Guardsmen will be deployed. On top of that, 400 Texas National Guardsmen will be deployed to Illinois, Oregon, and other locations to protect ICE and Border Patrol officers from protesters. Now, this morning, Illinois Attorney General Kwame Raoul announced that he has filed a lawsuit against defendants that include the president, DHS, and also the Defense Department in an attempt to stop the deployment of those National Guard troops. Both Mayor Johnson and Governor Pritzker will have more to say during a news conference this afternoon. On the West Side, Judy Wang, WGN News.
Yeah, so what you have here is Democrats trying to block the National Guard from being deployed because the president at this point, considering what happened this weekend, right, the violence that we saw on camera towards ICE agents, is undeniable that you have ICE agents under attack, right? They're actively under attack.
We're hearing from a lot of rank-and-file Chicago cops who say that they are outraged that they were ordered to stand down after federal agents were attacked. The communication for the stand down appears to have come from the chief of patrol himself over the communications platform with the Office of Emergency Management and Communication, reading very clearly, no units will respond to this. Multiple police sources have confirmed that that message is authentic, and it is backed up by audio of the stand down order.
So the chief of patrol clear everybody up. We're not responding over there.
All right, and 999, just to confirm, 39th Police in Kedzie, they were saying that they were being surrounded by that large crowd, and they were requesting the police were not sending. I'm waving off all the cars heading to 39th Police in Kedzie.
Again, those are the orders we're being given.
Now, the official statement from Chicago Police Department reads, CPD responded to the scene to document the incident. CPD officers were also on the scene to maintain public safety and traffic control. It happened in Brighton Park. The scene was triggered when two individuals allegedly rammed a Border Patrol vehicle with their cars. Border Patrol agents shot the driver of one of the allegedly attacking vehicles. The drivers are now charged federally, but the incident triggered a riot. That's when the calls for help went out. Now, Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson just moments ago dodged questions about whether that order tracks back to him, but he says he doubts the narrative of the Border Patrol agents.
They claimed it was defensive fire, but frankly, we cannot trust anything that comes out of the administration. We have a rogue, reckless group of heavily armed mass individuals roaming throughout our city that are not accountable to the people of Chicago. Their actions put all Chicagoans at risk.
And we knew this was coming, but the Illinois Attorney General has just made it official. The state of Illinois is now suing the Trump administration, claiming that the president is using American soldiers to punish his political enemies.
That's the loophole that the president can take advantage of in order to deploy the National Guard, right? Again, he's not deploying the National Guard to do law enforcement. He's deploying them to protect federal assets, right? To protect federal agents, which is different than deploying them to do law enforcement. That's the difference. Again, that's the loophole here. And I told you guys from the beginning of all this, like, that is the trap that these woke activists were going to fall into. If they start getting too crazy, if they start actually attacking ICE and obstructing them from doing their jobs, that gives Trump the legal avenue to bring in a National Guard, and that's what they're doing. So, again, we're going to see exactly what happens, but once again, we have Democrats in full-blown panic. Look at how hard they're working for illegals, right? Against the Trump administration, they're bending over backwards in ways that I've never seen Democrats move for an actual American citizen. People's eyes should be wide open in regards to who the Democrat Party stands for and what they stand for at this point. It's certainly not with the American people. So let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.